We have a quorum. If everybody would stand for a prayer. Doug, you want to say a prayer?
Oh, sure. Dear Heavenly Father, we're just so thankful for this day, Lord. We're just thankful for the guests you bring us, Lord, and we're also just thankful for just helping us lead this district, Lord. We just ask that you be with us as we try to make the best decisions this evening and help this district along, Lord. We ask for prayers for safety and health over our students and our staff, Lord. And we just ask that you be with us, Lord, and just continue to keep us safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
No one on open forum. Okay. We're going to start off with saying welcome to everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. And we're going to start off with Mrs. McCowan.
I have Mrs. Brown is our UIL coordinator. She did a fabulous job. We have a few students that placed in UIL that we want to recognize.
Okay, I just asked the kids, we had 45 students participate. We had 16 of those place in the top 5 and 2 teams place. And so before I call the kids up, we wanted to thank the judges. This year they decided to change the contest on us, and all events were at Frank Phillips College when we used to do some on our campus. And so we had to find our own judges to help judge all of those events. And so Mr. Garrison and Miss Searles were kind enough to help us out. And then I also got Mrs. Laurel Woolley from the community to come and help. And then we also wanted to thank the board and our administrators for allowing us to do UIL. The kids really do enjoy it. And I wanted to thank the teachers that were sponsors and went on the trip that helped with all 45 children. So if you guys participated in elementary UIL, if you'll please come up here. I have 3 of them that want to talk, but one of them just wants to come up. Okay. This is Daxton. He's a 3rd grader. Daxton, will you tell him about what you wanted to say about UIL?
At first, I thought it would be a little challenge for me, but when I got more into it, it got way easier. So, and I placed 3rd because I practiced my words every single day, and so each day I practiced each word.
Okay.
Good job.
And then this is Miss Paisley Sharp, and she was our 1st place speller in 5th grade.
So what I like about competing in UIL is that I like to see other students from other schools and how they do things in their schools, and of course we get a break from school.
Very good. And then next is RJ Hamlin, and he placed 2nd in chess puzzle.
So I've been practicing chess before, and I decided to do it because I thought it would be fun.
And then last is Addison Land, and she's part of our Art Smart team, which also plays 3rd. And she didn't really want to talk, but I will say Art Smart is very hard. They have to name the name of the portrait and the artist, and then they get judged on spelling the artist's name too. So all of these tests are very hard tests, and I'm really proud of all of our students who took the initiative and did UIL. So.
kids sit back down, and then at the end, we'll have everybody come up, and then we'll take pictures. Okay, Mrs. Carr?
So I brought Miss Reed, who is our sixth grade social studies teacher. Before the break, our sixth graders participated in this simulation in Amarillo called BizTown, where they all got jobs and they actually worked the jobs and got money and then got to spend their money. It was just kind of like a real life adult simulation. And Miss Reed, had to teach them like 12 lessons before they went, and then they had an interview for the jobs. And so I'm just gonna kind of let her finish telling you about it. And then she brought a couple of the kids, because the kids got to be like CEOs and CFOs and all kinds of fun stuff. So
Yeah, so in class beforehand, I obviously had a workbook that we had to go through, and we had to do financial stuff, like they had to know how to work in a checkbook, and they had a debit card, and we had to know like all kinds of citizen stuff. And then they had to fill out a resume, they had to undergo interviews. I had different teachers come in and take them out to an interview. They had to ask them interview questions. The simulation was set up to actual businesses in Amarillo. So they had different positions in the businesses in Amarillo. And Gabriel and Elise were the CFO and CEOs. Atmos Energy, their business actually won Business of the Year, I guess is what it was called, at Amarillo. Stinnett also went with us, so they won over Stinnett too. Rich won. And then Dixie here was the mayor, so she was mayor also over Fritch and Stinnett. So I was going to let them like kind of tell exactly what their positions were when we were there. You want to start, Dixie? She had to, they also, when they were there, since they were the CEOs and CFOs, had to speak in front of everybody. They had to speak.
So whenever we went, I had to give a open town speech, and I also had to go around, and I also introduced all like the CEOs of each company, and then we went in and then we did a simulation, and then I also took a census for everybody, and then after we were done with that, I came out back to the area and I did a closing time speech.
I was the CFO at Atmos, and my job was to pay all the employees, pay the financial bills from the other companies, and just overall pay everyone. And luckily I didn't have any speeches, opening or closing, because I cannot talk good.
I had to give a closing town speech, and while Gabriel was like making sure everybody got paid and all the paychecks, I had to sign them, and I also had to make sure everyone was doing their jobs, and I had to like sign checks and had to keep track of like the checks to pay off of our business loans and everything like that. And I had to sign a lot of stuff and go take, I don't remember what it was, maybe like a deposit slip to like a bank. And
Yep, they had debit cards they had to keep track of, and they would get to go around to the businesses and buy stuff. There was the city hall, they had to go vote. They had a voter registration card. We had people who worked at the city hall, so we had police officers. One of our kids was the police officer, so he got to give people tickets. And then they had to go pay off their tickets at city hall. It was like specifically ran like a town. It was really cool. So, and I think the 5th grade is going to get to go at the end of the year for it. So they got to learn a lot of cool things that have to do with real life. So,
Very good.
there's a lot of stuff.
All right, let's move on to Mr. Drury.
I've asked Ms. Sylvie to come and bring her English class that got to go to a professional production of To Kill a Mockingbird in Oklahoma City. So they could just come in and kind of tell you all what their experience was like. Ms. Sylvie?
In October, we got to go to see To Kill a Mockingbird. It was a Broadway production. So there was famous people in it, but I can't remember their names. The guy
Richard
that
Thomas.
was John Boylan.
Yeah, Richard
on
Thomas.
the wall. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Richard Thomas. And they did an excellent job. And we were reading To Kill a Mockingbird. We were about in the middle of it when we went to see the play. And so I don't know if y'all had heard or not, but Kevin O'Hare with Horseman Insurance, thank you, it was Kevin. He gave us a grant to do most of that travel, a $1,000 grant, and so we got to have tickets and go. Many of our students, this was the first time they'd ever seen a live play of that caliber, so that was exciting. We had 14 or 15 students go to Oklahoma City for that, and I have several of them here today, and they're going to stand up, and they're going to use all the things we've been learning about how to give presentations and tell you a little bit of their experience.
You want to come up here?
Not
really.
Throw them up there. They can do it. Or here.
So we had a lot of fun. We got to learn a lot about the characters and like compare and contrast between the book and the play. And it's really cool to see like the differences and similarities there.
I thought it was helpful to see like it actually happening because there were some details in the book that you couldn't really understand, so it was helpful to actually see it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it really, like, helped, like, kind of deepen your understanding because it was way different than just reading the book or watching the movie. Like, you actually got to see it happen, like, in real life. So it was very helpful.
I think it, like, opened our eyes to new, like, point of views that we maybe wouldn't have understood, like, just reading the book. So I think it was really helpful and valuable.
I think it helped me understand the book more and just how to, like, actually see it in real life. Just helped me make this way for sure.
I thought that it helped me understand the more and appreciate it.
So we want to thank y'all for letting us go. We had to travel across state lines, and I know that takes y'all's approval. We appreciate your support for that. It was a very interesting experience, and I don't know if y'all realize this, but the setting in this book is in the 1930s. That's almost 100 years ago. Life was very different. I'm sure most of you, it was part of the curriculum in your high school as well. And it's hard a little bit for these guys to connect with that because of that almost 100-year gap, right? And I think really getting to see that in a play form was very valuable. Thank you.
You don't have anybody?
No, it's mid-season, so at the end of the basketball season, I'll have those kids up for individual accolades in all
Okay.
districts.
Good deal. All right, thank you. Now, let's have the teachers and the kids come up and we'll get pictures.
Yes, you.
Y'all want to do, let's do individual pictures and then we'll split off into groups or split into groups.
Yes, you're first. Ready? Thank you. Ready? Yep. Thank you. Okay, and do you want three of you come and stand on the step down here, please?
Three of us?
Leslie, go for it.
Okay, you move just a little bit more that way. Yes. Right, there we go.
I'm taking one too, is that
Oh,
okay?
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. My turn. Okay, here we go, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all for coming.
We're talking about the.
Oh, yeah.
How are you? Doing all right.
Book letter because I saw it live. I didn't know this. And how many is in the book letter? I thought that's really good. I just didn't know it.
All right, let's go into new business, consent agenda for the meetings on the 12th, 14th, and 20th. Do I have a motion to approve those?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Mike. All in favor? All in favor, motion carries. All right, let's step into the regular agenda and discuss possible action on the resolution of joint elections with the city of Fritch and Sanford.
Yes, sir. This is just a resolution, so when we have our election on May 4th, that we'll have a joint election with the city of Fritch and the city of Sanford.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution of joint election with the cities of Fritch and Sanford.
Motion by Chad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rusty. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right, discuss possible action on the 2023 annual financial report.
We have Mark Kyle here tonight to go over our audit for us. So the floor is yours, Mr. Kyle.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Rusty.
If y'all will turn over in your audit report to page 3, this is the certificate of board. And Billy, if you'll entertain a motion to accept the audit report and give the presentation, then I've got 2 kids that you and the vice president assign.
Okay.
For secretary. Then pages 4 and 5, this is the certificate of board, the independent audit report, and it's a clean opinion. It means that everything's in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and it's what PDA is looking for. Pages 6 through 11 is the MD&A, or management discussion and analysis, and it's a narrative of what I'm fixing to go over in the audit report, and I'm going to go over all the numbers in the financial statement. Pages 13 and 14. This is the statement of net position on 13, the statement of activities on 14. These are, the statement of net position is like a balance sheet that the school has. It includes everything that Richard keeps, plus it's got some extra items included in this. The first thing in it there is your capital assets. If you turn back over in your audit report, page 36, there's your capital assets in there. These are the totals down here. The 4,507,000 is the same number as all those 3 numbers where it says capital asset activity. Those all add up to that. That's net of depreciation. We didn't add any new assets this year, but Richard and I went through the depreciation schedule and got rid of a bunch of things that were fully depreciated and then didn't have then were no longer in here. We did find one error in here. There was a bus that was bought the previous year for like $104,000, but it wasn't on the list. And so it just slipped up, and he didn't give it to me. I asked him, he said, no, we didn't buy anything. It was in September the year before, 21, I think, and we didn't add it on. So we have a what we call a prior period adjustment to add that onto the financial statements. It doesn't affect your fund balance or anything like that. It's just something you have to do accounting-wise. Then in the middle of the page is the district's debt, the bonds. And if you turn over on page 37 and 38, these are the bonds that we indebtedness. And so that 335 and 6,340,000, that's total over here, but on page 37, 6,676,000. And there's the bond payment schedule listed down below that pays off in year 39. Then we have in here your pension liability and OPEB liability. The pension liability is the TRS pension liability. If you turn over to page 40, that gives you the liability for all, this is statewide. The pension liability, they estimate is almost 244 billion, but 243,553. That's the pension liability. The TRS has assets of 184 billion. That means that they're underfunded 59 billion. When I first started doing this, the contribution rates at the bottom was about 6.4%, and they've got them up to 8%. You're trying to bridge the gap on it to bring that up in there and kind of more contributed by this. I think it's stressing the system because there's a lot of baby boomers that are retired right now. It's really stressing the system. So it's 8% of the contribution rate. And so Sanford Frisch's pro-rata portion of that is $286,000. Now that's something up that the district owes or anything like that. It's just the number that somebody decided that portion of that should be included on all the district's financial statements. So it's a lot of work just to put this in here, and so that's what it is. Then the other part is the TRS OPEB liability. The OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits, and that is listed in pages down, which would be page 45. The OPEB is the TRS care insurance, and not to be confused with TRS active care. The people that are on TRS care insurance are the ones that have left service from the district, but prior to getting on the Medicare at age 65. So in that group in there, the state of Texas Teacher Retirement System offers that insurance for those people if they want to have insurance. It's not as good as insurance as TRS active care insurance. And so on that 45, it's got a liability of $27 billion. They have a little over $3 billion in assets. I mean, they're underfunded almost $24 billion. And so the district's pro rata share of that is $2,158,000. That's on page 13. Then we move on down there, and then the district's net position after all of this is a negative $1,268,000. That's not alarming because a lot of, you can see with the $3.5 million that they put on your liabilities, that comes off of your assets. So it's not negative. But however, PEA does send you kind of a nasty letter if it's negative, then you got to do something to get it up and whatever like that. But there's really not much you can do. It's not threatening or anything, but they send letters out. Page 14 is the statement of activities. These are all the accounts that Richard keeps. Plus, it's got when you activity expenses in there, the $9.7 million. It's got some pension expenses in there and in the depreciation in that. And so on it, we had a beginning net position of minus $3 million and $2. So it went. The net position went up $1,641,000 this last year, which was good. We're getting closer to positive. And then it's got that prior period adjustment of $92,000 that had it into it to add that bus on. Pages 15 and 16. These are the fund financial statements. You got cash of $857,000 and investments in your tax pool accounts, $3,740,000, property taxes delinquent $327,000, and the land rent collectible $77,000, and then due from the state $445,000. liabilities of $2 million, and then the unavailable property tax revenue, that's the deferred revenue on the property taxes. That's the difference between the property taxes that 327 minus the 7711 minus that I figure is uncollectible. And that's the amount of taxes that we expect you to collect in future years. All districts report their tax collections on a cash basis. And so it's just whatever you receive is what counted as revenue. Let's just offset that. So that's the only way to show it. If you want to show the receivable on the books, just put that deferred revenue. And so your fund balance is $4,731,000. And the other funds, we've got schedules in that, and I'll go over those later. The page 16 is a reconciliation of all fund balances of all your funds, $5,074,000, and then down to your net position is on page 13 and 14 is minus 1268. Page 17. Total revenues of $9,719. Expenses of $8,215,000. So you had an increase in your fund balance this last year of $1.5 million, which was great. There was some times in the years before Richard knew it and everything, because there were some expenditures that y'all had for some improvements and things like that kicked the fund balance down. It got down to 3, but it went up $1.5 million, which was very, very good for this size school. It's kind of unheard of. Didn't really happen. I did a lot of things right. Then on page 18 is the changes in fund balances, and that's all the changes, the change in fund balances, and that reconciles down to your change in that position. That's still on page 14. The D schedule, page 19 and 20. This is your slush fund that you have on your internal service fund, the workers' comp fund. And it's really you've had this money in there for years. There's very little charges on it, and it's this money that eventually that'll go to the general fund. At some point, now Richard can add on that.
Yeah, it's liabilities from when we used to have, so CAS is our workers' comp provider, and it was a shared liability thing, and so there's still some expenses that we pay out of it, very small amounts, but we keep the money out there just so that we have more than enough money to cover any possible expenses that would come out of it. And they're from old injuries from years ago. If somebody goes back to the doctor that got hurt while they were on the work, then we still have to pay for it. And all the expenses we're paying for now, it's one of the reasons why we don't do CAS anymore, is because it was a shared liability. All the expenses we're paying for now are from other people from other schools. All of ours have gone off the books, but every now and then somebody else from one of the other groups that were in there at the time we were in there, we get charged it's a trivial amount each year, but we keep this money just to make sure that we've got that covered.
How much longer do you think that we'll be in
there? There is a year that's after that we no longer have any liability. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. It seems to me it's a little ways out still.
Yeah, I just was wondering if we ever got out of it, but we eventually would. But
When did we switch? Do you remember?
Oh, it was years ago. Gosh, I don't even. We've been doing TASB for as long as I've been doing this. I think we might have switched my first year, which would have been, 11 years ago, or something like that. So yeah, we switched just because, and that was the reason we switched, is because of the joint liability. We didn't like paying for other people's injuries.
Right. Anyway, it's still your money, whether it's in the fund or not, it's still there. It's not going to be, you've got kind of reserved, and it's only earmarked for these things right here. Here we go, you're to page 22. This is the research fund, the student activity fund. You have $83,848 in the student activity fund. And then page on 23, this is the ins and outs of activity fund. They raised $232,000 and it's been 196, so it increased from, it increased almost $37,000 from 4699 and it's at 8388. Then we go into the next financial statements, and I'll go through it and I'll show you some of the things we've already discussed. Page 36, we talked about the capital assets. Then we had bond payable, we talked about that. Pension liabilities. And I'm getting over there to page 50. This is healthcare services coverage. The district contributed $300 per month per employee to the plan. The school health and wellness services, the SHARS, the district received $166,000. That's the Medicaid part that the general fund receives for Medicaid kids that you have. The federal money. Page 51 is deferred. That's the tax revenue. That's deferred revenue. Which you'll expect to receive in future years. The prior period adjustment I showed you that we saved at the beginning capital assets to include that bus, and that's netted depreciation was $104,000, and there's some depreciation, so I only added on the remaining amount on there. Due from state agencies, the due from the general fund is $425,000. That's on foundation money. Revenue from local sources, page 52. If you turn back over there to page 17 on your financial statement, you can see the revenue of the general fund. The primary source of revenue in the general fund is tax revenue. So that's $1,675,000. That's the same number that's over there on page 17. Special revenue fund, $114,000. That's lunchroom sales. Debt service is primarily tax revenue, $409,000, and then the internal service fund that you have in there, that's $7,927. That's an interest income off of it. And then the total revenue is $2,207,000, and that's the same number we have over here on that. And then we have the internal service that we have over there on page 17, but it's a little bit more than what this one, because we got the internal revenue, the internal service fund on here. It's a little bit more. The shared service arrangement that you paid out to your SSA was $225,000 to share with the border. Then we go over here to page 54. This is the general fund compared to the budget. And what we check over here is the last column in that. If there's a minus over there, then we get kind of concerned about it. Obviously, it's like the district properly amended its budget throughout the year. The third column is the actual numbers, and then the final budget, amended budget, is the second column. And so you stay within your budget throughout the year, which is good. Your budgeted fund balances, you know, it would be $2,737,000, you end up with $4.7 million, with an increase of $1.9 million. If you'd have stuck with your budget on your expenditures, you would have locked up all your excess gain that you have in the general fund. It does a good job. Then pages 61 and 62 are your special revenue funds. These are all supposed to end up like this, it zeros them if you're doing your job right, and Richard is. The only thing that you got in here is your cafeteria fund 240, the school breakfast program. It's got almost $35,000 in it, and it's got a fund balance in it, so there was not a transfer from the general fund over there to it. A lot of schools, some of them had it like that, where they didn't do it because of COVID. That last year of COVID, the government allowed you to make everybody free and reduced. And so you got federal reimbursement for the free and reduced price. And so that helped everybody in their cafeteria program. And so it operated in the black this last year. And hey, you know, I want to tell you, Richard did a really amazing job on all these federal programs. This is real complicated stuff. And then when he gets it to where they don't have any duties or due from the federal government and everything, I can see a lot of these, and especially the ones that the service center does. They seem to like want to start working on their books in November and December. And say, oh, there's another $38,000 you could have got over here, another $52,000 you could have got over here, and they do all these due tos and due froms and receivables from the state, and it makes them real complicated. But Richard did his job and got them all collected in August before the end of the year and spent like they're supposed to. And I do a lot of these, it's got to where there's a lot of schools, when they don't have their Richard or business manager and they leave or do something like that, they go to the service center. And I think it's not the same as having a guy or a woman. It's not the same. Lucky to have somebody as competent as him here in the school working for you, because he does a really good job. Page 63 is the debt service fund, the assets. It's got a fund balance of $319,000 in it. Then we go over here to the ins and outs on page, the H2 schedule on the revenues and expenditures. And these are just like what they're supposed to be. You take the revenue in, you spend it, get the revenue in, you spend it. And he did those just perfectly. And so, and then the child nutrition program, it had revenue of $419, it had expenses of $436. So it went up. You spent more than what you took in, but we had a fund balance built up and we had a $41,000. So we took that off of that. So I don't know what this next year's going to bring. You may have a real small amount you got to contribute from the general fund to do it for this next year. Then we have on page 67, this is the debt service fund. Collected $616,000 and spent $566. So we had an increase of $50,000 in the fund balance. So it's $270, now it's $319,000. Page 69 and 70 is the DTR schedule. And anyway, it's got your valuation, your assessed valuation, appraised valuation was $152 million. The maintenance tax rate was a little over 95 cents and 27 cents for debt service. Collected, the levy was $1,871,000, and then you have your collections for all the prior years. And so your net at the end of the year that's owed is $405,000. And that $405,000 is shown on page 15 over here at the top of it. It's the same number for debt service and the general fund. Those are all the prior year taxes that's owed by everybody. Pages 71 and 72, the child nutrition fund. This is compared to the budget. The budget is $439,000. You spent $436. He's under budget there. And then on page 72 is the debt service, and it was properly budgeted right on. And then page 73 is the state allotment programs. And the first one is the state comp ed programs, and these are monies you get for kids that are at risk of not graduating. They could be low-income kids, they could be pregnant, they could be just whatever that the state gives you. So if you identify, there's a list of identifiers for these high-risk kids. So you get, the district got $479,000 and spent $265. and then the second one is bilingual. You got $2,300 for bilingual music recording. Page 76, this is the report on internal control. And when we get here to the school, we take a sample of checks that the district writes. And we compare that sample with the paid invoice compared to the check and trace it to the general ledger to make sure it's properly paid and marked. We look at the bank reconciliation and tie confirmations from the bank or bank confirmation and tie those back to the bank reconciliation, make sure all the cash is there. We get in either the textbook accounts, we get a confirmation on those. And then we do a confirmation carry over to the president of Hutchinson County, and she gives us a detail of the taxes that are uncollected and what was collected, et cetera. We'll get that. We look at anything that you have due to and due from the state. We look at the due from the state, shows what that is. We adjust that due to or due from the state, and we'll get to that. Look at any payables that you may have. We also look at the budgets and make sure that the district is in its stay within its budget throughout the year. We looked at the debt service payments and the taxes and did some test work on the other. And so after all of that, we look at the bottom of the first on page 76. It says the result of our tax disclosure notices like we reported in the government audit account. That means it's a clean report. There was no findings at all in the audit. You know, he provided everything he was supposed to. We didn't find any findings or anything abnormal. Page 78, this is a report on the major programs. Now, when the district gets over $750,000 in federal money, we're required to have a single audit. This next year, they're going to raise it up in total, they're going to raise it to $1 billion. So this may be the last year we have this for a while. And so if it's a single audit, that means we have to test one of the programs in there and test the expenditures and make sure that you spend it right. So we chose the ESSER fund, and we went through there and got like a list of the allowable expenditures that you could have. So they can almost say this is number 1 through 20 or whatever. And so then I took the general ledger and then identified the expenditures and make sure that they were on the allowable expenditure list. And then a lot of it's payroll, and so he provided me payroll journals, et cetera, for the allowable expenditures of the payroll. So we tied it back to that, and it was all tied out perfectly, just like it's supposed to be. So we did a good job and had all the documentation associated with it. In page 80, this is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. The district received the total is $916,000 for the year, and that's all. This is all the federal programs that are in here. Page 81 is a reconciliation of the expenditures, and then the total is on the C3. That's got the Charlotte's name on here. And then page 82 is a schedule of finding and question costs, and you can have one modified opinion. The programs that we show was this, they have the same deal as the ESSER 2 and 3. And the level of expenditures, it's got to be over that was a threshold of $750,000. And then on page 83, finding and question costs, there are no errors or deficiencies, just no deficiencies. And then the last one is communication with those charged with governments. It just means that we didn't have any disagreements with management. It's a clean report.
Good deal. Anybody have any questions?
Good work, Richard.
Yep.
He did a good job. He did a really good job.
Thank you
He did.
very much. You did a great job. Okay, do we have anything else? Okay, I need a motion to approve the financial report.
I move to approve the 2023 annual financial report.
I have a motion by Rusty, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stacy. All in favor? Everybody in favor except for Mike, and he is absent. So motion carries. Okay. All right.
And I need two guys.
Yeah, no good.
Can you use that next to
You bet.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
I wrote in mine, I was like, wrote in another.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
You
bet.
That's page 3.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any easier, does it?
No, no.
We always have to throw something in there.
You missed it out.
I know, I saw.
Yeah, I understand. It's good. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Have a safe trip. Thanks, sir.
I've been sitting in this seat for many, many years. Tara Huff. Tara Huff, I'm a newspaper lady. Yeah. No, for the Eagle Press.
We'll call it tomorrow. We just didn't discover it until we came in for the meeting. We're like, oh, hey, the heaters don't work.
Yeah, because actually it was colder earlier than what it is. I mean, because I walked in this morning, I was like, good grief. And then she turned it on and then it just, we didn't come back till right before the meeting and we were like, it'll be a little chilly tonight.
All right, let's move on to a resolution for accepting volunteers as chaplains.
Yes, sir. This is a result of Senate Bill 763, and we have to pass a resolution between September 1st of 2023 and March 1st of 2024, whether or not to accept volunteers as chaplains and that type of thing in our school. And you know, just to kind of give you what we've done in the past, you know, we've used them to come in as volunteers in the past when we've had, you know, like a student death or something like that to counsel the kids, and they've always done an outstanding job to come in and help us in those difficult times. So it would be my recommendation that we do accept volunteer our chaplains to come in and do, you know, support services for our kids when we do have, you know, a tragic event that, you know, we do need support from them. And so it'd be my recommendation to approve this resolution.
Any questions? We do this, we've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
So,
It's not us being writing for something.
right. Right, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution to employ or accept volunteers as chaplains.
Have a motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Rusty. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right, we're gonna move to campus reports with Mrs. McCowan.
All right. And you all have a manila folder. All of our little adopted a school board member, so I hope you enjoy reading their letters. If you can't read it, just get, some of them are creative spelling, so you may have to really, maybe have your kids help you decipher those. But they enjoy doing that. And we have had an influx of new kids last week and this week. We had 2 more that showed up today. I have another one coming Monday. So with the additions, we're actually sitting not at 329, but at 332. And they're coming from all over, out of state, in-state. And I expect that we're going to get some more because we had some more phone calls today. Our attendance rate is 94.35 right now. And we have some benchmarking coming up in January, the end of January. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers decided on that last week in January to give their STAR benchmarks, and so they'll be doing that, and then I'll have some data to share. We were also selected to give a reading benchmark for the state in 3rd grade and in 5th grade, and so that will also happen, I believe, early February. We have our Valentine's parties coming up, and gosh, the end of I guess progress reports go out January 31st, so we're getting ready for those. We had a couple of students that we selected for, our staff selected for Mr. and Mrs. Manners. We're really pushing that at the elementary. Hunter Mall, that was Dress Up Like Your Favorite Movie Character Day. So Hunter, he was our Mr. Manners for the fall semester, and then Journey Chapman was our Miss Manners. And across the campus, everywhere they go, they are setting a great example, and we wanted to honor them. We had the park rangers come out, and we participate in the U.S. Dictionary Project with them, and they come out and give our students dictionaries. All 3rd graders received that. The next page is just some celebrations from last semester. We ended last semester with Christmas parties, with our little Eagle Rally where we honored semester awards. We began the Happy Card. That was something our staff was wanting, and we had that in December, which is a fun treat. We do that every other month. You'll see our little Santa and our little reindeer down there at the bottom for some of our dress-up days. And then Kendra brought all of the office staff letters because they're starting to really read and write, which is super exciting. We're continuing with our positive phone calls home. If they're on the top left, they love to get those orange notes, so we give a call home, and we're continuing with that. We had a 2nd and 3rd grade program coming up in March. We have 4th and 5th grade programs, and then Coach Cab is going to showcase basketball skills again in March. We're going to do that, and instead of doing it at a home basketball game, we're going to do that in the gym at the elementary, and the kids have been working on those skills, so we'll showcase that in March. And then I'll have some data to share next board meeting after our benchmarking.
Good deal.
All I can tell you is the water fountains are a hit over there apparently. So that was the most thankful thing I got out of all that.
That's right.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Carr.
On the front page of my board report, that's a map of BizTown that I just wanted to include, just so everybody can kind of see all the different businesses that were there. So since we were there with West Texas, we were half the businesses and they were half the businesses. So just kind of, what all businesses the kids got to be a part of. Next page, Felix. Somehow I missed page 2. There's a page 2 that didn't get put in there, but it was just some stuff that we've had going on around the campus. We've done 2 fire drills, 1 lockout, 1 lockdown, 1 evacuation, and then last week we got to do a surprise evacuation drill when the fire alarm got pulled at 8th grade recess on accident. Really was an accident. The kid was just catching a football with one hand and was standing close and just kind of hit it and it went off. So that was a good drill for us because I didn't know it was happening either. Our GT kids are working on Rube Goldberg chain reactions with Miss Benson, and I know that they're actually like designing them, and then they're going to get to go like cut them out at a metal shop in Borger that she has ties with. So we'll talk about that more whenever they get to actually do that. Also, that's not included is that our kiddos did UIL with the elementary in November, and we had roughly 60 kids participate in UIL, which is that's a bigger group than normal. And we had 37 kids individually place in events, and then we had 3 teams place in events too. So they're at the top of the Pictures with Science Club with Miss Robinson. They're working on making biognomes and getting them to make clear water. I don't really know what that means, but they're having a lot of fun with that. There's some pictures of our kiddos that placed in UIL by grade, so the 8th graders, the 7th graders, and the 6th graders. So we had a really good, I think, turnout with our UIL kiddos this year. The next page is some pictures from BizTown of the kiddos working in their different jobs. The one walking there at the top, he's actually a police officer, and he's one that if any kid was running through the hallways there, the thing, he actually got to give them tickets and stuff, so that was pretty cool. Down at the bottom left corner, that's Coach Cordell. He drove us there, but he also did a great job cleaning up after everybody after they ate lunch, so I just thought that was a funny picture of Coach Cordell sweeping. And then the bottom there is of Dixie, who is the mayor, giving one of her speeches. She really had to get up and talk in front of everybody a lot, and she did a great job on that. I also, after we completed BizTown, I had several compliments from, they have volunteers that run the different businesses from Education Credit Union, and then the ladies from Junior Achievement that actually run it, they gave us multiple comments and compliments on how well our kiddos just were behaved and how well they knew the material and were prepared for the whole simulation. So I thought that it was really great for our kids to be able to participate in that. The next page is just our enrollment and our attendance. Actually, since I did this, we've had 2 students enroll, so we're back to 160 total students. We had a new 7th grader and a new 6th grader this last week, so we're rising there. Attendance there at the bottom, 96 for 6th grade, 94.53 for 7th, and 94.75, and then a total of 95.1. This last week I did work a lot on sending out attendance letters, just trying to get the kiddos to school, although I do think we have some kind of flu going on right now, because we've had, yesterday and today, we've had quite a few kids absent, so hopefully that doesn't spread anymore. The next page has some data from just tests given before the break, like semester tests and things. The top row is 6th grade, so the one that looks different, that's the WEA test that Ms. Benson gave to her 6th graders. It was just a mid-year test, and I have to pull it up on my phone because I can't even read it on my, so I can magnify it. It shows that we have roughly 21% of our kids in low, 17 of them in low average, 27 of them average, 31 of them high average, and 4 of them high. So that was her mid-year test. And then she'll give another one at the end of the year. And so we'll see what happens with those. The next one over there is 6th grade math, which Miss Dethridge, who does 6th and 7th grade math, she gave an actual STAR test from previous years for her semester test. So roughly half the material on the test the kids haven't learned yet. So based on that, she had great turnout. I think if you look at the very bottom on the cumulative, she had 71% of the kids either approach or better. So not even knowing half the material, she already has 71% of the kids that would approach or get better than that on the test. So that's really good. The next row there then is going to be 7th grade. So we have English on the left, which is great. If you look down at her cumulative at the bottom, she has 93% of her kids at least approaching or better. That's Miss Riggle. And then the one over, that's another math with Miss Dethridge. 7th grade math, again, the same thing, half the test they don't even know yet. And she had, it looks like 50% of the kids that would at least get approaches or better there. So, and then the bottom is English and math. So again, 96% of the kids would have got approaches or better. And then on the math, that was a test over linear relationships, which covers probably close to 50% of the STAR test. And she had pretty good turnout there too. She had 77% of the kids that would have got approaches or better on the test. So overall, pretty pleased with that data. And then the last page is just upcoming events. Really, mostly we just got a lot of basketball coming up with the junior high. So and that's about it.
All right. Any questions?
I feel better about the red after you explain it. When you first look at it and you see all the red, you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's kind of startling, but that sounds better.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Drew.
Our enrollment is still really close to the same. We have 72 freshmen, 59 sophomores, 57 juniors, and 47 seniors for a total of 235. We fluctuated a little bit, 236, 237. We lost a few, gained a few recently after the break. And our attendance rate is at 94.8% right now. On the next page, that's the group of kids that was in here earlier. A picture of them in Oklahoma City at the theater that they went to. And then the next page, this is a Christmas concert. I don't know if you all got to go, but bands did a really, really nice job. Helped get me in the mood for the holidays too. On the next page, these are outside of BPA classroom. Those are 18 Microsoft Specialist Awards. Some of our kids are getting multiple of these. They're passing certain Microsoft certification exams and doing well. I saw that and I thought that was worth posting on here.
You want to mention about the young man? Do you have that in your report?
I do not, because I wanted to be sure I got it right, but I do know we have a young man, Jonathan Alejandro, thank you, who has taken some of these exams, and he even got 100 on one. He's a national finalist. He gets to go to Florida this summer and compete, and we're very proud of him. He's something special.
Are they doing these during a period or at home? I mean, on
We're
their
doing
own?
during
or-
class, I believe. I'm just not sure how she has it, if they just take it at any time or certain days, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure he did it at home. I mean, in
That's
school.
great.
That's great. Oh, that's great.
Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did it in class. I just didn't have, I don't have all the specifics.
that's cool.
So I may have him come up and have her explain some more, so we can.
Yeah, because it actually goes up to age 22 to cover college too. So, I mean, not only did he beat high school kids, he beat college kids as well. He got a perfect score, and I mean, it's really unheard of, honestly. And he did an outstanding job, and he'll have an opportunity. I talked to the other day to get scholarships and, you know, computer, that type of deal when he goes to nationals. And so it's quite an achievement.
He's state champion and he's still for nationals.
It's very impressive.
It is.
That's good.
It is very impressive. On the next page,
Well, no, he did BPA. This is different.
we have a wall inside our foyer for kids to post their acceptance certificates to colleges, and they're building quickly. Right here I have 15. We've added 4 more since I took this picture, so we're up to 19 of these, so it's good to see the kids. Now some of them, we'll have a couple of them that may belong to one kid. We got accepted to 2 different colleges or something, but it's all good. They're reaching out and going ahead and getting the ball rolling for their futures. On the next page, this is some of the artwork outside the art classroom. I don't know if you can see, but I think they did a pretty good job. And on the left side, some of those portraits, if you know the kids, it doesn't take much to figure out who some of them are. I thought they did a really good job on these portraits and other pictures. Let's see. And then the rest is upcoming events, basketball, CX debate, softball. I think we even had I thought I had a base, yeah, there's baseball on here, UIL academics. So it's all rolling, lots of different things.
Good deal.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
All right, let's go to Coach Wiggins.
Right now, we're in the middle of basketball, and it's kind of hectic. We're in a competitive basketball district, but it's funny because like the girls, they can beat anybody on any given night right now, or depending on what quarter they show up, they can get beat by anybody on any given night. And so we're trying to fix those things so we play a little bit more consistency on basketball, but there's some good, I mean, sometimes you look out there and I'm like, goodness gracious, like we beat Bushland, and I don't know the last time our girls beat Bushland basketball, but it's unbelievable. And then, you know, I don't know what the put the thumb on it, but last night we're up 14 at one time, and then we got to let that dwindle away. But we're working diligently on that. I appreciate Coach Brewer and Coach Aventer's efforts to try to keep that fixed and keep our kids focused, so that way, because we've got a great opportunity to finish strong. And our district is so evenly matched that it's still so early that our girls can finish out on top. Boys are the same way. Boys beat Booker here the other night. I think back in this game, it was an electric game, it was a loud game. Booker last night beat Stratford. So our boys district's kind of topsy-turvy also. You never know what's going to happen. So I think our boys have a really good chance of competing and finishing in the top. One thing I would like to note on dates that are coming up, February 1st is the actual realignment date. Mr. Garrison and I will be at that realignment. That's always a big date that will tell us what our football district will be in, our basketball and our spring sport districts will be in. That will be disclosed on that date as well. As you can see, we're wrapping up basketball both in the junior high, especially in the junior high, but softball practice has already started. It's kind of crazy. It was negative wind chill, but we've had softball practice started since last Friday, officially after school. This Friday, baseball gets to start after school practice, and it's here. I always tell people that February seems to be the busiest month for athletics, and it's because of all the transition. You've got basketball winding down, and then you've got every spring sport starting all in 1 month, and so you're pulled every direction. And I'm proud for our teachers and coaches working with our kids because they do miss a lot of school during this time. But the main thing is focusing on basketball and finishing strong because it's contagious and it carries over into the spring. Does anybody have any questions for us?
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to Mrs. Searles.
Okay, in your packet I threw in some data. I pulled this data from high school just so you have some of that. The first 5 graphs are the semester tests from the STAR subjects. So we have Algebra 1, English 1, English 2, Biology, and U.S. History. And you know, some of those subjects are where we want them to be going. Biology and U.S. History are, you know, right on target. Algebra 1, English 1, and English 2, we still have a little bit of work that we want to put into those subjects. And so, you know, Mr. Jury and I have talked. He's going to be working with those teachers and, you know, speaking with them about, you know, what they're doing to remediate kids, get those scores up, what their plan is between now and the actual STAR test to make sure we're going to get those kids where they need to be. I wanted to add in our NWEA reports, but they were not ready. You have to close the NWEA testing out, and it's an overnight process. So by the time I got the report out, they were ready. But we are showing a lot of growth. So when we look at our NWEA scores from the beginning of year to the middle of year, there is a lot of growth along all subjects, all campuses. With the way the growth is looking on all the campuses. And so we'll put some of those reports in next time over here so you can see some of the growth, how we've gone from the beginning to the middle of the year. The next 2 pages are or actually the next 4 graphs are just some general graphs of how many different MAC tests we've done district-wide, what the passing rates are on those. All the principals are meeting with their teachers and, you know, they're discussing data and, you know, we're really focusing on that. Ms. Carr and Ms. McCown and I have met with Region 16 just about our STAR tests and where our STAR reports are. You know, unfortunately, based on how they've changed the STAR numbers, even though we've had growth from last year to this year, the way they changed everything, we're still in some targeted groups. And so we've met with Region 16, we've attended trainings, we've met with our teachers, you know, continuing on the, you know, the things we've done over the last several years. We're still growing. It's just frustrating how when the state changes the accountability system, then our numbers don't look like we're growing. So, I don't know, that's the frustrating part, but the teachers are and the principals are putting in the work, and we'll have some more data next time. We do have to do our taper report where we actually have our state data, and I'll go over all of that in a big PowerPoint next school board meeting. That way you guys can see where we're at compared to what the state, the feds say we need to be at. We'll go more into that next time. We are showing some growth though, and so I am pleased with it even though states think we're not growing.
Questions? Okay. All right, let's move on to Mr. Hine.
I didn't get my reports out there until Monday night. Sorry, I was out sick last week, so I didn't get a typed report there with. A couple things to go over on the audit. Obviously, I was very pleased with the audit. I was talking to Mrs. Sorrells here a little bit ago, and there's really just a few figures. You know, on all these pages of figures, there's a few figures that I really key on. Fund balance on the C3 report's the one I looked at the most on page 17, $4.7 million fund balance. It's the best we've been since I've been in the district. The majority of that money, the reason we came, you know, he said we raised $1.5 million in fund balance, almost 1.6, is because of that $700,000 that we got repaid from the state for the Winter Storm Uri damages. And then on page 51, there's a transfer of $425,000 from the state. That was the state underpaid us $425,000, and a good portion of that was because they changed the weights on career tech classes. So we hadn't anticipated that. So that's where the majority of that, that's probably about $1.1 million, and then the rest of it is we just underspent what we had budgeted. So we're at a very good position, the $4.7 million. The other thing to mention is child nutrition. I look at it a lot on page 66. You notice he said we were negative 17,230 last year, but we had a fund balance of 40-some thousand. So we didn't have to move any from general funds. We still have a fund balance of 23,909. We'll use that up this year since we're back to the normal charging of kids and don't get to have everybody be free. We are operating in a deficit again, though it's still not as bad as it has been. We did additionally get a grant last year of $17,000 from the government for supply chain issues. So once again, I was really happy about the audit. It had its quirks this year getting through, but because we were supposed to go over it in December, but those expenses for TRS that he has to put into our book, he actually has another firm that gets him those numbers, and they just didn't have those numbers for him in December, so that's why we had to wait until this month to do the audit. He had all of his work done, but he just was waiting on those few numbers. One other thing for our launch in my report, when we go to set the meeting dates, we have to have the meeting prior to the 16th to ensure that we can call the elections that we need. Okay, on my finance report, if we look at the finance summary page, really the only thing I have to hit on it, and just to point out that our refined ADA monthly trend, we're still mostly flat, which is with the kids we've had out sick, and how we normally dip down in this part of the year, we're actually, I'm believing when they're saying we're getting kids in to keep it flat is very good. So we're looking really good for this year too. If we keep this number up, we'll end up several $100,000 more than we had anticipated this year as well. So the enrollment is very encouraging. It's really the only thing on the finance side I had to point out. Any questions on the finance report?
Isn't this the first time since you've been here that we've actually increased in December or January than decreased? I think it's the first time that I remember
I
ever
can't
that-
remember us being
Oh.
flat like this. I
I think we always have lost
I think so.
almost every single year,
I think so,
regardless
too.
of how long I've been on here.
I can't state it definitively, but I have that same feeling that you do. So
Okay.
I'm very pleased. And like I said, we're seeing people from all over the place, so that's encouraging.
Yes, sir.
On the investment report, I did forget to give you the detailed report that shows every single month, but if you look at the quarterly report, you'll see that this last quarter we got in our main account that has $3 million in it, we got $43,000 of interest in this last quarter. If we go to the annual page, as I get my computer to agree to, you'll see that for the year, for that main account, we actually got $146,000 in interest. It's been a long time since I've seen that, a long time. Matter of fact, we haven't seen that since I've been in this
I
position.
started to say, since you or I either one of
Yeah. So there is some discussion with the Fed of doing some decreases in rate this year. I really don't believe that's going to happen. I think it's just going to stay roughly steady. So I think we can expect a good return on our investments. It's good to see this amount of return. It's very encouraging. Any questions on the investment report? That's all I had for you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Garrison.
Okay, and I'll be at Midwinter Conference January 28th and 31st in Austin. And the BizTown we talked about, Mrs. Scar had the group come up. Really, that was made possible through Phillips 66 and meeting with Kenny. And, he hooked us up with that. In fact, they even donated the money to pay for their lunches that day. And so I'll bring that. We'll accept that donation the next board meeting. But so I appreciate Phillips for having that opportunity for our kiddos. And so, and also, I did email y'all all the spring schedules of what they were. One of them's changed. I'll get you the updated version, and that may happen several times. And I sent out the spring activity schedule to you as well. And so y'all should have all of those in your email. And then, I just wanted to, take a minute and tell each one of you how much I appreciate you. Everything you do, all the support you give me, you give our staff and kiddos. I know you don't get a lot of thanks, and I do appreciate it because it helps me do my job and helps all of us do our jobs. And, I think we're doing a good job, and a lot of positive things are happening in our district. And so, and that's contributed to y'all's support. And so I certainly appreciate that. But looking at the attendance enrollment numbers, they've kind of already gone over them all. And so, we're looking good at the moment. So we're just going to keep working hard and doing what we can for our kiddos. So.
Okay.
Can I jump back into my report for just a second? I forgot one item.
Sure.
We did receive word from our bond counsel today that when we do the bond, the reimbursement for the track has to be a separate issue because of a law change. So we won't have just a $6.5 million bond. We'll have however much it is for the track as Proposition 1, and then however much it is for everything else as Proposition 2. The track reimbursement. Because there's a new law that says anything that's done to a stadium that seats more than 1,000 people has to be on a separate proposition. So he told me if you had a scoreboard in there for $10,000, you'd have to have that on a separate proposition, just because of the way the law has changed.
But we don't see $9.99.
Yeah, unfortunately we do see.
That's the numbers we sure did.
Okay, Jason and I looked at what was going on earlier. And does anybody have a problem with the 15th? Oops. Then we figured we'd do it on Valentine's Day on Wednesday, and we don't have anything that we saw as far as junior high and high school.
There's a softball tournament.
February the 15th. Softball.
Softball tournament.
It'll be all day here or gone?
It's
Oh,
in Slayton,
Slayton.
so down in Lubbock.
What about 7?
No, I don't care. Seven's fine. What do you have on, something that conflicts with that on the 15th?
Wednesdays are preferable right now.
Oh, okay.
Wednesdays and Sundays is about all we got.
That's the conflict, huh? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Y'all wanna do the 7th? Good with that? How about y'all? Okay, we'll do it the 7th.
Until we get more help.
Six o'clock.
You can only have 7.
All right. Mr. Hine, will you call us into executive session at 7:30 to discuss personnel to hear complaints against certain personnel of public officer, Texas Government Code 551.071, and to discuss superintendent evaluation contract and compensation.
warm, it was.
Okay.
I think they were frozen for me.
It was much warmer in there than in here.
Well, Rusty's hot chocolate was watery, I know that.
Okay, Mr. Hyde, will you call us out of the executive session at 8:14? Let's see. Okay, we have some action on Mr. Garrison's contract, and we need to make a motion. No.
I make a motion to renew Superintendent Jason Garrison's contract for 2024 through 2027.
Have a motion by Chad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries.
What was the years?
24 to 27.
Make sure it's right, Richard.
It's a big discussion.
We
That's
give
what
them
we went
the
back there
years.
trying to do. All right, I make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Rusty. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries.